what I'm seeing, and I work in a variety of industries because we do critical hires. So, having said that, technology right now in Silicon Valley is going through a huge shift, meaning, of course, AI. We all are hearing about it. What is it? How do we embrace it? I do coach my candidates and people that I privately coach to get out ahead of it, to not be afraid of it.
Welcome to the Growth Experts podcast. Today I have a very special guest. Her name is Ann Wentworth. She wrote an amazing book. She's an author of a very successful book called A Mindful Career. Ann, how are you today?
Hi, Derek. I am doing good and grateful to
Yeah,
be here.
welcome. Welcome to the
Thank you.
podcast. I'm so happy to have you on today. So tell us, how things have been. How's business? I know that you operate Wentworth Executive Recruiting, and I just wanted to dive into, your background a little bit, how things got started. Could you give us an intro?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, I actually began in the search business at the young age of about 22. And it was back in Minnesota, Minneapolis. And I had been working for a gentleman who was number one in the world in the Shaklee vitamin business. And at that time, which is about 40 years ago, Shaklee was global, world known, and I simply love connecting good people. And it turned out in that space, the boss I had, who his mentors and people were Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, many of the famous greats that we've all learned from. And he just said, Caroline, you're a natural. You're a natural with people. You should really consider doing this, as a career. And I didn't think much about it at that time, like as a career, but I just simply knew I wanted to continue in this space. So then at age 25, in Wisconsin, I actually launched an international modeling and talent agency. And that really became my platform to a mindful career in the modeling and talent industry. And it's interesting because I would go on casting calls. I did a lot of commercial work back in the Midwest. I would see people and I would think, oh my gosh, you should meet my agent. And I was sending all these people to my agent who loved that. And then the light bulb went on one day thinking I should have my own agency. And so then that is how I launched my company. And back in those days, we didn't have all the social media. We had human outreach. So I was getting on the telephone, calling all the big clients that I wanted my talent to be seen by and connecting those dots. I had a 10-year run. I loved every bit of it. I placed talent, men and women all over the world, Italy, Japan, Germany, Paris. And these were young people that at that time, again, I instilled in them a mindful practice, which was the mind, body, soul concept, which I do today. So that's really where I started. And then fast forward ahead, after I closed that business, I had moved back to Minneapolis and I had been recruited to join an executive search firm. And in that area, oh my gosh, Derek, it was such a treat because I, again, worked with one of the best people in the industry. And he put me on the desk of engineers. And so I was leading, I know people were like
Oh, wow.
modeling to engineers. And I said, it actually was the same concept because you want to listen to the person's story, right? And so I loved hearing what the engineers were working on. And it was for Cargill and Tonka Water in renewable energy. And so this was 30 years ago when it was just really becoming a thing. And I'm a passionate environmentalist. So I found myself in an area that I loved and locked into and became one of the top recruiters there. And then in a soundbite, my husband, well, today is our 26th wedding anniversary. He recruited me from Minnesota to California to marry him. He said if he ever married again, he wanted a Midwest girl And here I
Hmm.
was. And so I then landed in LA, and another large search firm recruited me, Stat and Chase, to lead up their division. Now it was in marketing and sales and promotional advertising, and loved that. Did it for a couple years, and then 17 years ago we came to the Bay Area, and 10 years ago we launched our firm. And I specialize in critical hires, and our clients, I am just so grateful, Derek. They really align with my way of doing search, which again is a mind, body, soul concept. And
Hmm.
they interview me, I interview them, and if we speak the same language, I'm retained, and then we find that special person they need. So I am so grateful every day to do what I do because I get to meet good people.
Awesome. Can you share a bit about your role in terms of, how it fits into the bigger picture over at Wentworth Executive Recruiting?
Absolutely. So, as a founder, I literally oversee every moving part of a search, meaning I meet with the client, I
Hmm.
want to meet with the hiring person that the talent they need is going to work with. So, I can get an idea of the space they're in, who they're going to work with, what are the nuances, what are the things they're looking for in that person. And so that's how I start. And then we have a 9-step process, which I won't go into all the details, but I will write the job description. I will, visit the different areas, boards where it needs to be promoted, because we don't just put something out there and hope it sticks. I do my research and due diligence for our clients so that it's very strategic, very targeted, and then we build that list, and then we literally have a video. My husband's an award-winning marketing advertising guy, and we purchased promo software so that we make a dedicated video for our client, not mentioning their name, because again, this might be a confidential search, but we do a beautiful teaser video, if you will, about the project we're working on. And then we get that out all over social media so that, let's say you're looking for that CMO position with the global um, uh, renewable energy company, but you don't want your boss to know you're looking, but you're curious, you can send me a note and I handle that with confidence. And so there's just a lot of things we do as an executive search firm that we handhold it, the client and the candidate through the whole process. And I am happy to say our retention is at about 94%. People stay 3 to 10 years once they lock in to their career.
Okay. So you're kind of doing some hand holding and you're able to really you're able to communicate on an effective level with your candidates so that they can be implemented into the hiring process with the employers. Tell me, how exactly are you doing that? Are you speaking with them on how to communicate with the employer? Are you speaking with them in regards to how to position themselves in an interview? Can you kind of dive into how that works?
Oh, absolutely. Derek, when I identify the candidates that I feel would align with the career and the company, the mission, I would come back to you as my candidate, and I would give you homework because I want you to show up fully present for the
Hmm.
interviews on Zoom or in person. And what I mean by that is I always say we all have something, we all have an it. And if you bring that energy in with you, let's say, for example, your car just broke down. I've had this happen to me, so I can speak to it literally when I was going for an interview once in Minnesota. And it was a cold winter morning. And literally on the way, my car breaks down. And I'm thinking, we didn't have cell phones back then. I thought, oh, for Pete's sakes, I got to get to this interview. I remember calling a cab and I made it. but I was
Yeah.
just like all frazzled, right? So my intention is if I can get my candidates at a real Zen kind of place to feel totally good about themselves, no matter where they are. Maybe they just lost their job and they might have some anxiety about the interview.
Hmm.
I want to make sure that I want to see you. I want to see why you're excited about what you do, what skill sets you have. So, yes, I take them through a mini workshop with me on how to prepare. And I let them just be honest with me too, Derek. I have no judgment. Again, my intention is if it aligns with what you're looking for, the right energy will show up. And that is through your demeanor, your face, the way you speak, the way you dress. That whole package is about branding. And so I do talk to my candidates about that. And then when they go into the interview, I make sure they do their due diligence on the client. So to look up everything they can. And then I prep them on the different people they're going to interview with so that if someone is more stoic and there might be someone more personable, and then there's someone that's more like right in between. I want to make sure they can read the room and not focus on the person that's more stoic and think, oh, they don't like me just because they don't engage. And so I think that that helps the candidate immensely because for me, I've been in those situations and I am the one that will think the stoic one doesn't like me. Like, what didn't I say to connect with that? I can't worry about that. But if I know the personalities and how to speak to each person, it works.
Yeah, definitely. I see that, you have that ability definitely when it comes to connecting with people for sure.
Thank
And
you.
oh yeah, you're welcome for sure. So can you tell me about any major shifts that you're currently seeing or trends that are in your industry now?
Very good. Well, in general, what I'm seeing, and I work in a variety of industries because we do critical hires. So, having said that, technology right now in Silicon Valley is going through a huge shift, meaning, of course, AI. We all are hearing about it. What is it? How do we embrace it? I do coach my candidates and people that I privately coach to get out ahead of it, to not be afraid of it. I, again, 5 years ago when I started hearing about it, I was nervous. And then I thought, well, it won't apply to me. That's just the big tech companies. But my husband, who is a forever growth mindset person, reminded me, he said, honey, take advantage of it now. And I did. And I started with ChatGPT. What I'm saying is every one of us is going to be touched by it in some fashion. So rather than have fear about it, I say embrace it, be curious, just start Googling certain, AI, what's happening, what are the trends. And I think people would be surprised at how exciting it really can be. Now, I'm not going to say that there aren't downsides to it. Everything has yin and yang. And the truth is there are some pieces of it that have made my candidates nervous. What I then again come back to, because I hear it from my clients, if let's say you're in charge of putting meetings together every week at a big company and you are the note taker or the person that captures all that information and then puts together in a report so that everybody has the minutes for the week. AI is brilliant. I use it now on Zoom. I co-chair a global event I'm a part of in December called the World Forum. And I use my AI assistant every Friday. And it is amazing to me because I literally used to take copious notes and I couldn't take them fast enough. So all
Hmm.
I'm saying is look for where AI can complement your skill set and get up to speed on it because that is one thing that will set you apart. If you're applying and maybe you're stellar at graphic design or a chief marketing or CFO, and if you find out how AI can make you better, look into that and don't be afraid of it.
So I heard you touch on something important, and I wanted to ask, how has ChatGPT or AI or other technology or tools that you're currently using now or that you're implementing certain strategies with, how is that working for your company now? And then you also mentioned a second question. You also mentioned, it has its downsides. What does that look like for you in terms of downsides as well? So what's working and what's not working?
Excellent, excellent question. What's working for us is I do a lot of research with it. And so it might be when I secure a new search, and I'll go in, and it really is how your prompts are written that will determine what feedback you get. So I personally do it for research. The other thing is if I want to have a more creative career post, job post, I'll use it for that. And I'll get a outline, but I go in and personalize it. It may give me a new idea on how to talk about an engineer position. And so then I think, cool. So that, and then my husband uses it a lot for writing. So because he is an award-winning writer, but he was helping me with my course that's going to be coming out soon, and which is a mindful career mastery course. And I had it all handwritten in my big binder. And he came into me a couple of weeks ago and he said, "Honey, do you want to see what I came up with?" And I go, "No, not really, because this is my year. This is 40 years of my wisdom." He showed me an outline he did. And while it had the same frequency and vibe that I talk about, it was organized in a really cool manner.
Nice.
So I took that and I added to personalize it what I liked. And it really was about how to engage people out there on the internet, right?
Hmm.
What would they like to hear? So for that, I think it was fun. Now,
Yeah.
the downside, and I have seen this, and I actually yesterday had a professor call me from UCSF. He asked me to come speak at his graduating class of seniors next year
Hmm.
on resume writing and how to prepare yourself and market yourself in LinkedIn profile. And we got deep into it. And I shared with him, he asked me that question too. He said, "Where do you see it harming people?" And I said, "With the resumes." I said, "I'm starting to see, again, it is so like someone will help AI do their resume, and I'm seeing wording that would not be a normal way of speaking. Like you wouldn't talk about yourself that way." And so I said, the downside of that, especially if you get an experienced search person like myself, what it's telling me is two things. You didn't check that work to make sure it's your voice, not AI's voice. And second, are you lazy? And I don't mean that in a bad way, but do you think AI is going to do your job if you get
Yeah.
hired? So again, no judgment. It's all coming at us so fast. And I think some people believe that's the easy way to do it. Or the one that drives me nuts on a resume is they always say, look at the job description and pull like 10 things that they want and put it in your
Hmm.
resume, even if maybe you didn't
Yeah.
do it. And to me, that's wrong on every level because we'll find that out. So I think the authenticity piece is being
Hmm.
lost a bit. And that is one thing, Derek, when I do narrow it down to my candidates, and maybe I've seen a little of that, but they're 90% there with everything else. I'll work with them on it and I'll say, you know what, Derek, you don't need to do that. You're a star, you're shining. Let's really talk about what makes you you. What are you going to bring to the party? Then I think that takes the fear out of them. And plus, to be honest, you're going to get through that ATS system definitely and not end in a
Yeah.
black hole if it's authentic and original. It just it
Yeah.
just is.
Awesome. That's really good insight. I'm thinking, where do you see yourself heading, in the next 6 to 12 months from now?
Mm, a lot of exciting things we're working on. And one of them is obviously continuing my search work. I love truly every aspect of it, even the challenges,
Yeah.
which there are. Uh, but definitely doing my search work, getting having clients retain us exclusively for a project. So that's number one. And then number two, we have our second book that will be coming out in the first of the year, which is called A Mindful Workplace.
Oh,
And
nice.
that is going to be revealing a lot of things after interviewing several hundred people on what it's like in the workplace, especially since COVID. A
Hmm.
lot has changed. And so when I see, this is another part that drives me. And I would love to teach everyone deep breath work and how to meditate before they post something on LinkedIn, how they hate their boss or they hate their company.
Oh yeah,
Because
don't do that.
it, no, no, definitely don't. If
Yeah,
you
don't do
have
that,
a
guys.
moment, yeah, if you have a moment where you are frustrated in a work situation, I coach people on this. I always say, pause, take a deep breath, and realize it's just a moment. It is really that. It's how you're going to react to it.
Hmm.
Because I've owned companies and we've hired hundreds of people. My husband and I had a couple coffee houses, one in Santa Barbara and one in Sausalito. So over a course of 6 years, we had probably hired 150 people,
Hmm.
full-time, part-time consultants, etc. And we gave insurance, made sure they got tips, we gave free meals. We did everything to support those young people because I wanted them to feel safe where they were
Hmm.
working, know that they could put something away, and not have to worry about their own insurance. What I see today trending is people get lost in their head, and I call it the monkey mind.
Right.
And all of a sudden, they're like, my boss doesn't appreciate me. They don't see me. They don't, um, I'm not getting paid what I'm worth. And they'll go down this rabbit hole, Derek. And here's the sad thing, more and more of that kind of negative experience will happen to them.
Hmm.
And now all of a sudden, they want to quit because they didn't pause. And I'm not saying it's a good place to be. What I'm saying is take out the emotion and step back for that moment and think, oh, I have a house payment. I have to get my kids in school. I need to buy new shoes. My wife needs her car fixed. Stay there because if you quit or all of a sudden take a new position based on that energy, I can promise you that next position, you're carrying that energy right with you and it's going to show up again. So
Yeah.
that's where, when, and it gets back to what I'm going to do in the next few months.
Hmm.
We talk about that in the book. And then the really exciting thing that we're going to be releasing is a course, and it's called a Mindful Career Mastery, Mind, Body, Soul. And my intention on that, Derek, I gave you a little snippet of why I'm so passionate about this is that I really want people to step into their greatness. And that does mean a full present person. And I'm able to help guide people to that process and to be
Hmm.
there because again, I come from experience, I come from loss, I come
Hmm.
from truth. And so I can relate to people and I'm able to help them navigate that conversation. And if I can't, if a story or a situation or a thought loop is too big for that person, I have a wonderful tribe that I work with that I can recommend people, to get either additional uh, help or information. So next year is going to be on fire. I'm excited.
Yeah, that's good. So it sounds like you have an exciting, uh, you know, plan for the next 6 to 12 months, and implementing a new strategy and a new book that's coming out as well after this one. And yeah, I mean, it looks like things are going to be working towards your favor in a very meaningful way and help others in the process. So that sounds really good. It's rewarding. Tell me a little bit more about your book. How is that impactful?
Well, when we wrote it, which was 5 years ago, but here's what's fascinating. Uh, Literally, my husband would hear me, his office is in the next room, and he would hear me talking to candidates or clients and coaching. And sometimes I would be on a call with a candidate for 2 hours. And he'd come in, he goes, really? And I said, what? I said, I wanted to help them or have them see this. And he said, you need to write a book. And I go, oh, and like, when do I have time? Because we were really at the peak of our career. We had worked 5 years to be there, when we started doing the book. So he put a binder together and sectioned it off for me. And we identified about 15 areas that people really need to look at when they're thinking of a career. And most people only truly look at about three, meaning they want a title, they want more pay, they want more time off, or whatever. We really get into the nuts and bolts of growth mindset, of why your health plays such an important part to bring
Yeah.
good energy, right? How to navigate looking for careers. We were already talking about AI in our book. So when you do get a copy and you see it, anybody that receives it just goes, oh my goodness, you were already out ahead of it. And we were, because the book itself is a roadmap to how to create a mindful career. And again, the mindful piece is about managing the thought loops that we have in our head that can derail us. So
Hmm.
when we wrote this, our intention was literally to give all the sound bites that I've gathered in 35 years of my work and
Hmm.
adding all the current trends that are happening. And so after we get out our next book, we're going to update this with even more new things, which we plan on doing next summer. So we'll continually keep it. But right now, it covers everything on personal branding. It covers, and
Hmm.
that is alone like 20 things, and like
Yeah.
I was talking to someone the other day, it was really lovely. And we were going over their LinkedIn profile, and they had like a picture. I can't remember. It was like a rock or an ocean, a rock on the beach. Not that that was bad. It was lovely. But this person was in marketing. And I said, do you have any work from your portfolio? And she stopped and she goes, yeah, I have lots of work. I said, that's what needs to be on that big piece of digital real estate, is something amazing. So when
Yeah.
someone clicks on it, they want more of you, right? Little things like that.
Hmm.
And then of course we cover what a good resume looks like, and not to use a
Yeah.
picture on your resume. Um, it doesn't go through the ATS as well. There's little things. I think there were so many trends during COVID, especially using the picture or fancy fonts or moving boxes all over and having graphs. At the end of the day,
Hmm.
you need to think, who is seeing that resume? Like when that comes into my desk, I like creativity, don't get me wrong, but I really want to get to know you. I don't want to see all
Yeah.
these funny memes and things that, like, huh? So we talk about it in a gracious way. I don't want to make anyone think it's good or bad, but
Hmm.
less is more, clean is better, and truth always prevails. Don't spin anything, because we can find out. And we talk about that in the book too. Yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, I wanted to also talk about some of the strategies of how you're attracting and retaining candidates or top talent candidates that you're recruiting or seeking. Are you using any other tools or platforms like Indeed? Are you using LinkedIn? Are you using ZipRecruiter? What does that look like for you, and how are you retaining them?
very good. So over the years, I've used platform from Indeed, ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn Recruiter, of course, is our baseline. LinkedIn groups. I actually love going into LinkedIn groups when I land a specific search. For example, I did a cancer research scientist for a startup, and I went into all the different conversations in LinkedIn. They have
Hmm.
wonderful groups, and I would post my job. However, I looked at what was being said and I chimed in. I just wrote a note.
Oh,
It's
nice.
amazing because people then saw me and then they wrote to me, and said, please keep me in your database, or so
Yeah.
that's definitely one way. I'm very mindful about how I go about finding my people because it's not about when
Hmm.
I send something into a client, I don't send in 12 resumes and hope somebody fits. I really study
Right.
everybody's profile and really I want you to align with this conversation. So, of course, all the job boards, we have an amazing network of people. I am so blessed
Hmm.
since we've been here in 17 years to have met a lot of people, but I got out to every kind of function, events, conferences, speakers, because again, I love to learn. And that's where I've actually met some of my best candidates just by being out and about. That is something next year I
Yeah.
really want to teach young people. Even this professor talked to me about it yesterday. He said, Caroline, can you actually walk them through not to be afraid? Because again, these are young people that went through COVID and the lockdown and didn't even get to socialize. So I want to bring back that joy of how you network and connect with people.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I would probably have to say my other advantage is I really, if I reach out to you, I might ask you, Derek, do you know anyone in the custom home building association, like in San Francisco? And you might go, yeah, my uncle works in that. And it turns out if
Hmm.
we get a lead that way, then if we land that person as a candidate and they get hired, I would come back and surprise you with a very nice gratitude gift of money as a thank you, and you don't
Hmm.
even know that, but I believe that in paying it forward and good people know good people. And if we can help each other, that is my intention as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. So it's, paying it forward, right?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Definitely. Yeah. You want to pay it forward and give gratitude where it's given. Respect on that. So I had a couple more questions for you before you go, and I wanted to know, how are you cultivating long-term relationships with clients beyond transactional relationships?
Good question. My clients are I am blessed to work with the caliber of people that I do. And I don't work with everyone.
Yeah.
I because again, I want it to be a reciprocal relationship that I'm building. And I don't want it to be just a one-off. My intention is to really help you build your team. And it might be over a course of 10 years, which has been we have 5 main clients that always come back to us and we help them. Our biggest client in Silicon Valley, we've had the blessing of doing 48 searches with. And so, and then we like to take them to lunch, maybe once a year to say thank you. Even if we didn't get a
Hmm.
search, on a project, I want it to be more about thank you. Think of me when you do need me, right? I send birthday cards because I remember their birthdays and it's not a digital,
Right.
it's a
Yeah.
handwritten card. I'm very old fashioned that way. I still like cards myself. So, I think at the end of the day, I want my clients to know that it isn't just transactional, that's, the only reason I work with them. Um, I want to make a difference with their team,
Hmm.
with them, let them know they can count on me. And we don't ghost anyone in terms of candidates
Hmm.
that because I represent them. I'm their brand ambassador. So that's another thing that I think I offer. I'm not a junior recruiter, not to say a junior couldn't do it,
Yeah.
but my the people we end up being secured by really want that high touch, the white glove experience, because again, I'm representing them and it's of truth. Yeah, we had a really fun search earlier this year. And that example I gave about the gentleman going into the room with three people
Hmm.
was a true scenario. And because he said, and he was a high level, he was a C-level person, and he said, Carol Ann, what will I be up against? And then the first thing I did is I reframed that. I said, here's what you get to enjoy, and here's how you'll get to meet these people. And one person was very stoic, and afterwards, he thanked me. He said, you're the first person that really gave me that intel. And he said, I didn't take it personal when he didn't respond to my answers.
Hmm.
He ended up securing the position and he's just flourishing and he's so grateful. But I am grateful. I love the clients, and my intention is always to make their life easier with the people I bring. No drama.
Well, it certainly sounds like you've had an incredible journey so far, in terms of your business and the book that you currently have out, A Mindful Career, and another book that you have coming out pretty soon. What was that book again?
That one's a mindful workplace.
A Mindful Workplace. Awesome. Yeah, definitely look forward to that. So after this, I'll make sure to drop you my address so I can get a copy of that.
Yes,
Awesome.
you have.
And last question, if there was, hypothetically speaking, if there was a magic wand and you could fix one thing in your career or something that's maybe holding you back or slowing you down, what would that process look like and how would it get you there?
Okay, you're going to love this because we were just talking about this, my husband and I. We just got back from a wonderful trip and he actually asked me that, very similar. And I said, okay, I want to win the mega millions, the 895 Powerball tomorrow night. And the reason why is
Yeah.
I would give I would help so many people right now in career transition just need that little bump or that edge, right? Because, oh, the thing of it is I see a lot of people in pain right now, and it does break my heart, and I've been there, and so, and and I'll just say this shortly. In 2008, when we had one of our businesses and the crash hit, we lost everything, Derek. We literally, and I don't mind sharing that because that's a human experience. But we lost our home and our cars and our careers. Like it was overnight, that crash. And, but you know what? Here's the beautiful thing that happened. I got back into search. There was a lull when we did the coffee house, and I was the CEO at the Sausalito Chamber. And I'm not going to say it didn't harm, but in all honesty, I just would love to help as many people as I could manage their careers and get through the wave we're going through right now because there's a lot of transition, there's a lot of job loss, there's a lot of um, sadness, and I I just try to help as many people as I can realistically. But the key always comes down to, Derek, is the people have to be willing to do the work to make those changes
Hmm.
because I can give the best laid plan, I can coach, but you, as my candidate or client, have to be willing to do your part. And then amazing things show up. And it's said in 21 days, your mindset can change if you're consistent, with your new tools or your new approach to it.
Hmm.
And then I'll leave you on this one, which I is my absolute favorite saying by Dr. Wayne Dyer, and it is change the way you look at things, and the things you look at
Yes.
change.
Yeah.
And I've lived by that for over 30 years. And I'm not saying not to feel the pain or feel the sadness or the what
Hmm.
ifs, but don't get stuck there, because that's then when more pain is attracted.
Yeah.
So I believe in possibilities, and I believe in people, and I believe in the goodness that you can do it. You really can do it, but you got to get out ahead of it,
Hmm.
and you got to stay focused.
Awesome.
So
Awesome. Well
I,
said. Love it. So, Carol Ann, that brings us to the end of our podcast. Thank you, everybody, for just tuning in. This is the Growth Experts podcast. And if you want to check out more information on Carol Ann, I'll go ahead and drop it right down here in that scrolling bar. Her LinkedIn is there. That's Carol Ann Wentworth. She's on LinkedIn, and she has an amazing book out called A Mindful Career, which is also located on Amazon, or you can check her out on LinkedIn. So thanks everybody for tuning in to the Growth Experts podcast. I'm your host, Derek Collin, and I'm out.